Parliament has been accused of delaying Freedom Day after plans to extend the self-isolation rules for another 6 weeks.
The Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, told Parliament that children and the fully vaccinated wouldn't need to quarantine for 10 days if they came in contact with someone who has coronavirus, but only after the 16th of August. Kwasi Kwarteng, Business Secretary, joins us now.
Good morning.
Now, Kwasi, you are the Business Secretary.
I am.
And I know that you probably agree with me that you shouldn't necessarily think that the newspapers reflect the world, but if you look at the newspapers today, I think you could say that Boris Johnson's press conference was a masterclass in mixed messaging, and there is a lot of confusion out there. So can you start to unpick some of the confusion that you have created?
I don't think there's a huge amount of confusion. There are two things that we have to remember. The first is that there's going to be a general unlocking on the 19th of July, and that's clearly understood. And people were very disappointed that we didn't get the 21st of June, but we're saying the 19th of July. And that's not definite, by the way. We're going to make a final determination on that this Monday on the 12th. And then the second point is the one that you've just raised about self-isolation. And what we're saying is that the self-isolation rules will be lifted on August the 16th. So there's a balance. We're saying that, yes, you can unlock, but of course, we want to have a measure of precaution, a bit of safety around self-isolation and people's exposure to the virus.
Okay.
So it's not a mixed message. I mean, it might be a difficult, not a very simple message, but there are just two elements to it, and I think they can be easily understood.
Well, that's interesting because you've just, in the course of that first answer, given us 4 different dates. And one of them, you said, wasn't even definite, the 19th of July. We don't know if the restrictions are definitely going to be lifted.
I think they will be, but you will know that we make the... Sorry to interrupt you, but you will know that we've always made the decision a week before, and that hasn't changed.
People want consistency, they want clarity, and I wonder whether one of the risks with these 2 different dates now, that the general unlocking happens on the 19th of July, but the lifting of that self-isolation for those who've been in contact isn't until the 16th of August. I wonder whether you're concerned that actually people will think, right, that's lifted for me.
Yeah, there's always a risk. I mean, there's always been an element of uncertainty in this. Nobody's seen a global pandemic like this for decades. So there's always uncertainty. And what the Prime Minister tried to do, and I think he did very effectively, was have a roadmap. We had the roadmap. We stuck to, I think, 2 of the 3 dates or 3 of the 4 dates. And as a consequence of that, that's given a lot of confidence, as you'll know, in the economy. Certainly the people I speak to have said that. There was a slight wrinkle on the 21st of June, I admit that, but we're very keenly focused on the 19th of July.
Kwasi, let me just give you some points that have been made by people in your community, the business community. Siobhan Haviland, Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce, doesn't understand what the future of self-isolation rules are, doesn't know if testing will remain free, doesn't know if international travel for business will open up effectively, no clear guidance for businesses around the new proposals, real uncertainty about how to operate going forward. I mean, businesses, what are they meant to do? If I came into work today and said to Susanna, I want to wear a mask and I want you to wear a mask, and Susanna said no, who sorts that out for me? Is that
Alistair,
are we just on our own now?
So I speak to Siobhan every week, and she's made those concerns clear. And I've always said to her, as I'll say to you, that the virus is not something that's very predictable. We've been trying to second guess this thing for a while, and we're going to make decisions once we've seen the data. Now, I've said to you that we're going to make a decision on the 19th of July, a week before, and you said you push back against that. But that's what we've done in each of those dates. We've always made the final decision a week before.
The data, if you look at the cases, the data, I know it's not the only metric, but the data is going in an alarming direction against the policies that you're now bringing forward.
Well, Alistair, you will remember that last year, the data was going against us. But the difference this year is that we've got vaccinations. You've probably had a double jab. I've had jabs. 2/3 of our country have had vaccinations. And the data we're seeing is that the vaccinations actually give people protection. And it's because of the vaccine rollout that we've managed to be able to reopen the economy. So, yes, infection rates are going up. But the critical thing to look at is the effect of those infections. Are they hospitalising people? Are people getting, dying, frankly?
Angela Merkel.
That data is good, Alistair.
Angela Merkel raised with Boris Johnson the other day, she had real concern, she said, about the number of spectators who were being allowed into the football matches in England, including the one that Germany lost against England. I mean, that amazing match last night, watching those fans celebrating, there's no masks, there's no social distancing. Are you worried that she might have a point about these Euros, the remaining games, becoming a kind of super spreader event, which will ultimately damage the economy and stop us being able to go on holiday because other countries will say, no, we don't want you?
Obviously, we're concerned. I mean, you'll remember from being in government, of course, when we're in government, we're concerned about risk. We're concerned about keeping people safe. There's always a balance.
But the football specifically?
I think the competition has gone really well, not just for England. I think it's been held in a really good spirit, and we want to do that safely. And I think we've balanced the risks. We've said, you know, we want fans to be able to enjoy football, but also we want to keep people safe. And I think we're striking the right balance. But is there risk? Of course, there's always risk.
Yeah. Do you think that there is a real concern? I wonder whether you were surprised about the YouGov poll, which showed that more than 70% of people would like to keep the mask regulation in place. And part of the reason for that is there are elderly people who feel that they won't feel confident to go out, particularly on public transport or into shops, if people aren't wearing their masks. There are people who are suffering from cancer, for instance, or immunocompromised in the wake of cancer treatment or other treatments, other disabled people who are concerned about ditching of masks. And the point about that is you say, as a government, it's all about taking personal responsibility. But the point of masks is not that they protect the individual who makes the decision about whether to wear them, they protect the other people who might be at risk. And those people can't stipulate that that individual wears one.
I think it's a fair point, but you've got to remember where we were, normal life before COVID. There were flus, there were lots of illnesses. And in those instances, people who are vulnerable generally used to take advice, and they will continue to do so, from medical practitioners, from their GPs.
What, are you suggesting they go back into shielding?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that people take care and look after themselves, as they did before we'd ever heard of the COVID virus.
But Kwasi, for a lot of them, that's the only way they can look after themselves. You talk about Freedom Day. There is no freedom for those people if they now think they can't go out because they don't feel safe. There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, it's true, but people are always going to make a judgment. I mean, unless you're suggesting that we have lockdown forever.
No, I didn't say lockdown, Kwasi Kwarteng. We're talking about masks.
There will always come, or people wearing masks forever. There'll always come a point where people have to make a judgment, and that's what we're saying as a government. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that.
But it was perfectly obvious to me, watching Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance, that they were not keen on this getting rid of the masks.
How do you know that? I mean, was that the body language that you were reading?
No, it was what Chris Whitty said.
Well, partly was, yes, it was partly Kwasi, yes.
There were three instances where he would wear a mask. And one of those instances would be if the other person was uncomfortable that he wasn't wearing one, and therefore he would wear one out of courtesy. But then you're not giving people individual responsibility. You're making those people who are already feeling vulnerable tell others that they need to wear masks. Government makes regulations for the good of the community, doesn't
Absolutely
it?
Right. Absolutely right. But as I've said, we're not going to wear masks forever. So there was always going to come a point where we have to rely on individual judgment. I think Chris Whitty made a great point. I think you've got to observe respect for other people. I think you've got to think about other people in the way you act. And it's fantastic that he does that. And I think many people should be thinking like that. But
I went on a tube train yesterday.
The idea that we're going to mandate... Look, I bumped into you in the tube. I know you use the tube a lot, and you're probably being very responsible, as the vast majority of people use the tube.
A hell of a lot yesterday weren't. That's my point, is they've taken the message about Freedom Day, and honestly, you say, like, we're not going to get demob happy, and you call it Freedom Day.
We didn't call it Freedom Day. I mean, you know how the media work. There's been no document, there's been no time that I've seen any government official or government minister refer to Freedom Day. That was something that was, I think, dreamt up, or a phrase that was concocted by the media. I don't think it's any. It's
all right,
something
Kwasi, can I raise one other issue I want to raise with you? Because you're in charge of climate change. You got very heavily criticised by the climate change report, which is headed by John Gummer, former Tory chairman. He's not a sort of, Remainer lefty like me. And he's a former Environment Secretary. And he said...
Well, he is a Remainer. I mean,
let's not go there. Let's not go there. But his report said that you've got very good targets and you've got 20% of the policies in place to meet them. And when he was asked to give you marks out of 10, he said less than 4 out of 10. That's your former chairman not impressed by your policy on climate change.
Look, I speak to John a lot about this, and he's right to say that we could be doing a lot more. But if you actually look around the world and see other countries, they all say that the UK has provided incredible leadership in climate change. We're hosting the COP26 conference in November in Glasgow, and people are really looking forward to that. They look at what we've done in terms of getting coal off the grid. They look at what we're doing in offshore wind. They look at what our policy is about electric vehicles. And they're saying that the UK is providing leadership. Now, I agree with John. I think we could do more. I think we could be more ambitious. I think we could be actually implement policies more directly. But let's not beat ourselves up about this. We are showing global leadership, but yes, we could do better.
OK.
All right, Kwasi. Well, listen, nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Well, I can't actually see you, but very nice
OK.
to talk to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.